Bob here, Chopper Bob Customs, and today I'm going to be making an improvement, at least I hope it's an improvement, on JD's Garage's CNC plasma table. So stick around and watch it. That being said, there's a couple of... Oh shoot, I forgot I had the music Okay, so the JD's Garage's CNC plasma table is almost done. Well, it probably will never be completely done, but you can watch the video where I've cut some parts out with it, and I'm looking forward to making some pieces for the rat rod that is on the menu. And that being said, please subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell so you know when new videos pop up. Like the videos and leave me some comments. And hey, listen, I got somebody that's leaving an unlike, a thumbs down comment. If you don't like something, you can give me the thumbs down, but put a comment in there and tell me what you don't like, so at least I have an opportunity to improve the videos and make them more enjoyable for you. At any rate, but leave the comments. If you got questions, I try and get back to you as quick as I possibly can, and hit that like button. I like to be liked. Anyway, so the one thing about the JD's Garage's CNC plasma, the way he's designed it is, he's designed it so you can fold the legs up to store it, which when you have a small shop like I've got, that's a big plus in my book, in that it takes up, well, when it's all said and done, about a quarter of a bay, and that means that I'd have to find 3/4 of a car to fit in that bay. So it's good that it can be folded up, and I'm going to clear a spot on this shelving unit behind me to store it when I'm not using it for extended periods. But that being said, if I've got a project or something going on where I'm going to be using it sporadically throughout time, it's nice to have it set up, not taking it down and everything. The big problem with that is it doesn't move around all that easy. It's a little bit cumbersome. I can pick it up and move it, but of course I got to drain the water out of the water pan, and I've got to pull the water pan and all the supports out, and then I can pick it up and move it, and that's just kind of cumbersome. So I was looking for a way to where I could, one, increase the height of the table just a little bit so that it's not so low. I'm not increasing it a big amount, and two, to make it a little bit easier to move around. And so what I've done is I've come up with, and I'll give you the link in the bottom. This is my proof of concept piece. I have a retractable caster that basically when you push this down, it sets the caster down on the ground so you can roll it around, and then when you kick this up, the caster comes up, and it's sitting on this base here, and it adds about 5.5 inches of height to the unit. This being my first piece, it's got a few problems to it, but it's going to be usable, so I'm going to continue to use it, but I learned from it when I was making the rest of them. And it's really straightforward. Basically what you have to have is, what I decided to do was go with 5.5 inches. These are the 5.5 inch leg extensions. And then you need something that's going to slide inside of the legs that are on the machine. And if you would be able to find some telescoping tubing where you've got your 2x2 that would act as the bottom leg, and this would slide in it good and tight so you could weld it in place, that would be the quick way to do it. But I've come up with an idea to where I don't have to go hunting around for tubing, and it worked pretty slick on that one. And I think by refining it with what I learned on that one, I think I can make 3 more that are even better. So follow along and watch what I do here. The first thing I'm going to do is the 5-inch long ones. I'm going to slit them lengthwise along the corners. Now it's important when you do this that it doesn't kick back and sever the tendon in your left thumb. That's very important. Don't ask me how I know that. If you've watched any of my videos, you know what's happened. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to set up a little dam here. Okay, after thinking about it, I decided that I didn't really need something to keep it from going that way since the blade's going to be pulling it this way. But I am going to use this to keep my hand out of the way as much as I possibly can. And anyway, so here we go. Okay, now to get them to fit in here, you're going to have to grind the edges of them. I don't know whether you can see that or not, but basically it's going to require a cut. If I had, it needs about 1/16 of an inch or so taken off of it. So let me pause this and get them ground to fit, and I'll show you the finished product. Okay, so I ground them so that they will fit inside, just like this. I've got a mark at 1 inch, so I know how far to insert them into the leg. And then I've got this right here as a tool to keep the other end in line. Now it's a snug fit, but when I weld it up and then subsequently grind it, it's going to shrink a little bit. We'll cover that, but basically this will keep it lined up and it'll allow me to line it up on the table so that it's in line. This is one of the changes I made from the last one I did. To try and get it so that it is more straight. What I've got is I've got to mark 1 inch in on this one so that I know it'll be in here 1 inch, and then I've got to mark at 1/2 inch so I know where to put my hole for my plug weld. So that, and these don't have to be perfect, it's just okay. So with that, we'll pick up the pieces I threw across the room. Okay, we're all set up here. And put some plug welds in. See how this works. Oops, I'm a little bit out of line. Okay. That's what I'm looking for. Then it really just gets down to drilling a bunch of holes at a proper height for that caster, and you end up with that right there. And then when I get all these put together, I'm going to come back and show you what it's like on the actual unit. Okay, a couple of things I learned from putting these things together. When I started out, I was using all 6 bolt holes, 3 on the top and 3 on the bottom. But on the top, the bolts are in a more straight line. They're still in a triangle shape, but they're in a sort of a straight line. If you look at the bottom one over there, you can see it's a more pronounced triangle. Well, the deal is, this makes it a little bit hard to get a socket or a wrench on it. And when you think about it, these are in compression, so they're really not doing a whole lot. And the shear strength of 5 of these is probably a lot greater than the shear strength of these 2 at 2 locations each. So you've got 4 shear points at this one, you've got 5 at this one, and these are smaller bolts. So I figured 5 was the way to go with this, and then just leave that top one out. And then the other thing is, if I had it to do over again, and I do have another set of these casters that I'm probably going to put on my my brake, is that if I had it to do over again, I would have probably put riv nuts in here instead of trying to feed lock washers and nuts on the back side of them. But they're built, ready to go. So let's get them installed on the plasma table and see how they work. Okay, so since these are a slip fit, they should just slip. We'll see how this works. So far, so good. See if I can do this without having it fall out. Okay, so with that, it's a little cumbersome to get it set up, but on the whole, and that rolls so easy, I'm sure that when I get the pan on here with water in it, it's going to roll just
Okay, let me interject real quick here. I did go ahead and it's got water in it. I did some cutting, and I was sitting down on the legs, and I wanted to see if these casters would lift it up. They will. I did spill a little bit of water. I think you can see that right there. And trying to move it around, the water sloshes enough that it's going to slosh out of the pan. So in a pinch, you could move it full of water, but you're probably going to lose the water and make a mess, so you have to weigh whether or not it's worth it. So I think probably what I will be doing is draining it before I lift it and move it around in the future. But like I said, in an emergency situation where you just have to move something, it'll do it, but you're going to make a mess. So that's a modification you can make to JD's Garage's CNC plasma table to make it a little bit more small shop friendly. And so now I'll be able to move it around when I'm doing a project, keep it out of the way,
keep it set up. And then, like I said, when it comes time to store it on the shelf, you pull the arm out that the wiring goes on, and lay it down, and you take these 4 bolts out, one here on each leg, and then that leg will roll up in to the frame so that it sits flat. It's about this tall basically, so it'll fit on the shelving unit that I've got over there. The reason that the legs are short is so that they will fold up into each other and have clearance. The bigger you make your table, the bigger the legs you can put on it, the taller you can have it sitting. But you've also got to consider that you've got to lift the material up onto the table, and you can only go so big, otherwise the weight of this arm gets to be too much, and then you've got to build a trolley on it, which means that you can only feed the material in from the ends. You can't feed it in from the side like you can the way GD's got this set up. So all in all, I'm really thrilled with this JD's Garages plasma table. I'll have the link for JD's Garages in the comments, or I'm sorry, in my notes below. I'll also have the link for the casters from Amazon. They're really not expensive at all. Of course, the 1/4-inch bolts. One thing about them is you do have to enlarge the holes for the 1/4-inch bolts on this. They're really designed for like number 12 wood screws. So beyond that, the next thing we're going to be doing is doing some cutting. I've got to get started on the rat rod project. I don't know whether you can see it. Yeah, I've got a warranty engine replacement that I'm doing on that 57 Chevy back there. So things are happening this year at Chopper Bob Customs. So keep watching, subscribe, like, comment, and hit that notification bell, because there's going to be a lot of interesting things happening this year, provided I don't try and cut my thumb off again. Anyway, for now, Chopper Bob out.